Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my job. That's what I do every day. Although we have a very focused show, we only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get to our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. Lynda Eisenmann is with us, Preferred Home Brokers. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron. Good to be with you.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And I look up every morning to see what are we going to celebrate today. We always like to find something of value to celebrate, some fun topic of celebration. And, you know, some of us are still dealing with that Super Bowl hangover. We might talk about that a little bit later in the day. It certainly was not because of the quality of the game that we're hungover, so we'll see what happens with that one. But let's see. Today... Wow, this one can seriously get us in trouble today. Today is Safer Internet Day, so that one's not very major. We've got National Weather Person's Day. My friend Henry is in on that one. He'll probably be celebrating that. But then you get into some that they might not be geared for prime time. We've got National Shower with a Friend Day.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, we better be careful of that one. World Nutella Day, and the biggie of the day, obviously, we must say Happy New Year. Yes, China. Today is Chinese New Year. A lot of folks are celebrating. Interesting. Well, that'll have some effect on the markets. We're going to chat about that. Alex, don't go anywhere with our celebrations of the day today. It will get you in trouble. Just throwing that out there. So let's check the markets for you right now. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 153 points. Oil is down 63 cents per barrel at 53.92. We're watching that one for you. Probably won't have a whole lot of effect on gas prices, but we do keep track of that just to see where they're at, just to see what is going on in the gas world. So we'll check that one for you as well. Probably not going to check the gas prices today, but we, just because it's depressing, I don't like looking at the gas prices because Taxofornia, we're always paying so much more than the rest of the country. I don't like the idea of dealing with that, but we have to report it anyway. Why would the markets be so quiet today? Well, yes, I know we've got the State of the Union tonight. That can lead to quiet markets just because a lot of folks are out there saying, something, we want to see what happens before we go too far with this. But more importantly, maybe not more importantly, but equally as important, the issue, the state of the Chinese New Year. So in China, it is actually more of a mandatory because, China, they're a little bit communist over there. Maybe a lot communist. So they're not working. They're told you don't work. And if you've never dealt in China, you're dealing with about 3 weeks off for New Year's. Not because they drink so much. It's they basically go home wherever their home might be. reassemble with their families, and then they come back to wherever they've been or wherever their workplace is and find a new job after Chinese New Year. Now, because of the way the system is, it takes about a week to get home for Chinese New Year. Then you have the Chinese New Year and about a week to get back to work after that. So with China being shut down for New Year, you won't see a lot of activity, Chinese activity in the marketplace. Whenever you have diminished activity, that's when you're going to start seeing a more volatility. That's just the way it works. But we can still look at gas prices, right? $2.26 a gallon is the national average of gasoline, up from yesterday. We're looking at 324.6 in Taxifornia, 324.8 in Hawaii, and we might as well look and see what they're telling us is the pricing, because this is another one, Missouri, $1.91. So they're a bit cheaper than we are over there. That's just the way that news is breaking out. What else is going on in the marketplace today? Good morning, Alex. Nicole, I'll pass that message along. Nicole says hello, Lynda. So I just want to throw that out there. So we'll just throw that out there. Samir, good to see you as well. Moving right along, what's going on in the news? The Ron's Daily Briefing. I saw a couple articles that I thought would be fascinating to chat with you about this morning. Obviously, the big conversation right now is certainly tonight's State of the Union. Do you plan to watch? Just a question mark for you there. State of the Union, 6 o'clock. It's going to be fascinating to see President Trump saying that he wants to unify the country.
You know better than that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be happening, but we'll see. We don't want to negate that before it comes out. I did see a tweet this morning from the president talking about the concept of how in the world is Chuck Schumer against the State of the Union when he doesn't know what's in it. But that just seems to be the way of politics nowadays. It'll be fascinating to watch Vice President Pence and Nancy Pelosi sitting right behind the president for an hour this afternoon, seeing what's going on there. I did give you all the statistics yesterday about the Mexican border, so you'll have some of that knowledge if you didn't get that yesterday, about the 3.3 million apprehensions, about the $5,000 per apprehension. The Border Patrol saying they get about 50% of the individuals is what they catch. The 2.2 million pounds of marijuana, the 700,000 pounds of methamphetamine, any of those things, if you didn't get all that in those numbers, they're on the page from yesterday. You can take a look at that. One of our congresswomen from California, yeah, she's a little busy, so Mad Maxine Waters will not be at the State of the Union tonight. You know something? The more Maxine Waters is absent, the more I think it's really good, because it's the less divisive she can be. Talk about I won't say that. Census Bureau notes 75 million more immigrants by 2060, 95% of future U.S. growth. Immigrants, that is the projection. United States will hit 404 million people by 2060. Nearly all of net growth will be from immigrants and their families. A new analysis for figures shows that there's 79 million more in 2060. 75 million will be legal and illegal immigrants and their families, a population the size of France and Belgium combined. Interesting numbers there. We'll see what else is in the news this morning. It's good to see this one. Now, you know something? I'm not sure I've ever agreed with, or there's very few of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's opinions that I've agreed with. But it is nice to see that she did make her first public appearance since December and her cancer surgery when she attended a performance of Notorious RBG in song. So Justice Ginsburg, glad to see that she's back out and about, 85 years old and still working. You know as well as I do that Justice Ginsburg will be working as long as she can, as long as President Trump is in office. There's no way in the world of her own free will that she will abdicate her seat while President Trump is in office. Just throwing that out there for you. More spending on the horizon, a Green New Deal. Details emerge as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She is the congresswoman from Brooklyn. Sorry about that. I just throw that out there. Another spending plan. I don't think she's ever seen anything she can't spend money on. Now $7 trillion. Now she says, we can just tax the rich. So the NFL owners will get taxed, but the players would not get taxed. Do you believe that? Unfortunately, Miss Cortez has no clue about economics, has no clue about how things work in the real world. You see, the rich do not pay those, they pass them along. And she doesn't want to understand that if all of these things that she's talking about spending money on means you and I get to pay it. Just throwing that out there. A new tunnel, 60-foot tunnel in Texas along the U.S.-Mexican border. Tunnel which is seemingly under construction to stretch toward Mexico. Discovered on the American side of the border near the Rio Grande River in Hidalgo, Texas. Roughly 10 miles away from McAllen, a town President Trump just visited. Another tunnel, 60-foot long tunnel. What do you think they're running through that tunnel? Just throw that out there. Saw this article this morning. I thought you might find this one interesting. Super Bowl stats. Statistics show the average American spends $81.17 on the Super Bowl. How do you fit into those numbers? If you're between the ages of 24 and 34, then you may end up spending about $118.43. Interesting. Even more stats show that this Super Bowl party costs you about $207.16. I guess you're not drinking a whole lot if it's only $200 for a Super Bowl party. Just throwing that out there. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, are you a millennial? We're going to chat about maybe it's time for you to look into buying a house. One more time, I'm going to share with you, you do not need 20% for a down payment. I'll throw that one out there for you as well. Government shutdown resources for workers. We've got that for you too, all that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO-certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. When you're ready for that next mortgage, Gold Star has the programs, the products for you. Gold Star, they're the only ones I know of with the Fast Pass loan approval. Gold Star saving you $10,000 to $50,000 on the purchase of your new home. In the Mortgage Minute today, we do look at this every day. Now, remember, I tell you this, well, I'll get to it in a second. We'll share the story with you. But the Dow Jones Industrial Average falling backwards a little bit. It's up 117 points as I speak right now. We're looking at the rates. What are those doing? We'll talk about that as well. The S&P 500 up 9.07. 10-year Treasury down 2 basis points on the yield, 2.70 is what we're getting for that 10-year Treasury. And the Fannie Mae bond, that one's up 5 basis points. The bond being up means interest rates are down, not a significant amount. But again, we look at the why, because the what comes on Google.com. You can get that anywhere. So they were looking at a combination of issues right now. And one of the people that I follow, Art Cashin, pointed out in his comments this morning that tonight's State of the Union address could cause some volatility and deter some trading. Additionally, the Lunar New Year could also make for lighter trading volume. On lighter volume days, volatility is usually at a premium. In economic news, CoreLogic released their home price index report for the month of December, showing that home prices across the U.S. rose by 0.1% for the month and 4.7% year over year. This is a decline from 5.1% in November, but right in the range that we've expected. CoreLogic's forecast for next year dropped from 4.8 to 4.6, which is above our forecast of 3.5 to 4. CoreLogic does see a decline of 1% in January on a month-over-month basis, but they also expected a 0.8% drop in December, and we saw a 0.1% gain. So here's the issue. Remember when you watch the news tonight and they tell you about home prices that they are talking about a slowdown, like going from 70 to 60 in your car, right? It's not that you're going backwards, it's you're just not going as fast forward. Just remember that, and remember what we talk about all the time when we're talking about real estate. If you buy a $500,000 house, and that house appreciates by 5%, your equity position has grown by $25,000. Now, if you pay the same amount for rent, say that equates to $2,500 or $3,000 a month rent, I'm going to share with you, guess how much equity you have in your rental unit. Yeah, that's a big goose egg. Nada. So get in the game. I just had this again over the weekend. I had somebody call me and say, well, does that program have mortgage insurance? And the answer to the question for that person was yes. So I heard mortgage insurance is bad. And I said, well, why is it bad? And nobody seems to understand that answer because they say, well, it's bad because I heard it's bad. Right? I mean, think about the concept. Why is it bad? Well, I heard someone said it's bad. That's why it's got to be bad. Well, if you can get a $25,000 appreciation and say that you have that $500,000 house and you put down 5% and you paid mortgage insurance, okay, so what? If you're renting, you're paying 100%, similar to 100% interest, right? You get absolutely nothing for your money. When you pay mortgage insurance, you're in the game. So maybe you're paying 0.5% in mortgage insurance. Maybe you're paying 0.85 in mortgage insurance. But you've just doubled your money over the course of a year in that hypothetical situation where the $500,000 house goes up by 5% and you put down 5%. Do you understand? You put down $25,000, you've got an appreciation of your property of $25,000. Where else can you put your money and effectively double it? Think about that. That's why we want to chat this morning. That's the Mortgage Minute, but this morning what we want to chat about is, unfortunately, we've got to get into a whole new paradigm. When I started doing radio, it was a fascinating scenario because we could talk to people and move a dialogue forward. And I don't mean to be disparaging, but because of what's happening in our school system, and then you listen to politicians like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think we have to move our dialogue backwards a little bit and start educating folks more on economics. And I'm going to chat this morning. Lynda Eisenmann is with me. And what we want to talk about, Lynda, is a little bit about our young people, our kids and grandkids. They go to school and they have no education on what's going on in the real world. They're learning about Greek mythology and the Roman Empire.
All of those really helpful things in daily life.
Exactly. But a checkbook, a mortgage, balancing a credit card statement, credit cards, debt. We don't teach them anything about that.
Well, you and I talked once before. Most of the younger people don't even know what a checkbook is today.
You're right. And, having to pay for what you buy. I mean, you listen to some of the politicians, $21 trillion in debt. And, it's just another trillion. What the heck? Now, you and I aren't going to have to pay that, right? It's our kids and grandkids that are going to have to pay that bill.
That's right.
Right? So we need to educate and say, something? Here's the issue. Now, if we go and buy a house, right? If I hear people all the time saying, well, I think I might just rent. And that concept is, how do you accumulate wealth when you're giving your money to somebody else?
For the average person, the average worker out there, I don't really think it's possible without home ownership.
I think you're right? I mean, because that example I just used, where you have a $500,000 house, which is not out unreasonable in Southern California.
Not at all.
And I think that I didn't work it out, but it's probably $2,500 to $3,000 a month for a mortgage payment. And I think a 2-bedroom condo probably rents for about the same thing, doesn't it?
I would think so.
Okay, so we're looking there. One is 100% gone. The other, only a percentage of your money is gone, the interest portion. The rest of it's going into your own wealth.
Absolutely. It's a builder. It's a lifetime builder, really, is what it is, if you think about it that way.
Absolutely. And then you start saying, okay, well, now we've got 5% appreciation, which I think Orange County is 5.3 average over the last 53 years. So it's not outrageous to think of a 5% appreciation. If you get out of school and you start earning $50,000 and you can appreciate your property by $25,000, it's almost another half an income.
You're right.
Right?
And why wouldn't you? Instead of making somebody else's mortgage payment, why not make your own mortgage payment? Because otherwise you're just going to pay off somebody else's property versus yours.
When you go out and talk to people about properties, one of the things I hear frequently is, well, I'm looking at a 2-bedroom condo or apartment. And, okay, what are the characteristics of that? And we hear people talk about it, and they've got 2 bedrooms and maybe a living room and a kitchen, and that's about it. Now we say, let's buy a house, and what do they want when they buy the house?
Well, typically when they buy in a home, they usually want more.
Right?
When it comes down to it, you're also buying a neighborhood. You're buying an environment when you're buying a home. When you're renting, there's a lot more. I hate to say this, but it's a lot more transient. It's not as significant. It's not as permanent. People don't necessarily have the same living environment in a rental property as they would a home that they own.
And does it have to be permanent?
No, absolutely not. It's typically not. You know, most homeowners in the past have probably stayed. Let's talk about Southern California. They have stayed in a home for less than 10 years. They built up some equity. They've had enough to where they've accumulated a substantial amount of equity in which to move on to a larger home. So does the average person stay in the first home they buy? No, absolutely not.
So they can. So part of what we need to be educating people on right now, especially the millennials,
yes,
is, hey, something, you can buy a 2-bedroom condo that only has a family room and a kitchen and get in the game even though it's not your forever home, and set a game plan to get your forever home.
Well, that's true, but I will tell you a large number of millennials want more than a starter home. They just do. It's
okay.
something I've experienced, but for the average person starting out, yes, looking at a starter property is one way to look at it. Something you're going to build on for your future.
So when young people come and visit you and they're looking at buying that starter home and they tell you they want more,
yes,
are they open to the concept that this isn't permanent and it's a stepping stone?
Some of them are. I really think so many of the millennials, the lifestyle is a lot grander than those of us who grew up in different generations. I mean, people really live very, very well right now, if you really think about it. Especially in Southern California, there's a lot of people who live very well. And they have a lot of things that go along with not just their home, but they have a lot of toys, for example. We've seen that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ironic enough, $1,000 phone, right?
You're right.
I mean,
you're right.
And we get confused by the idea that something, we can change that every year.
You're right.
Right. I mean, and then you start saying, okay, well, I earn $50,000, 2.5% of that's going to go to my phone each year, right? Just to buying the darn thing.
Yes.
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's funny that you say that, because I'm looking for a new phone right now myself, and I'm astounded at the prices. I can tell you that.
It's crazy.
Yes.
We start looking at them and say, okay, how long can I keep it? And a lot of the young people, I've got three millennials in my household, and they're all saying, not how long can I keep it, is how soon do I get a new one?
Oh gosh, that's true.
Right? I mean, it's a whole different paradigm.
And that's not true for everyone. I shouldn't lump everyone into the same barrel, because I have worked with a lot of younger couples, younger families who really have a direction. They really have their head on straight, and they are making financial plans for their future. So I guess I shouldn't lump everybody into the same, or put everybody in the same barrel, so to speak. But I will tell you, a large percentage of millennials do want it all.
Yeah, well, and something, as long as you're willing to work for it all, that's good. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we're going to talk a lot more about this as the broadcast goes on today. But hey, here's a tool for you. It's absolutely free. It's one of the best budgeting tools I've seen. That's why we put our name on it. You can text RSR Budget, Ron Siegel Radio, RSR Budget to 79564. Get registered for the free tool. You can put all your data in there. It is a safe, secure portal, and you can start budgeting and saving for that new house, or maybe that move-up house. Take a look at it. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. One more time, you do not need 20% down payment to buy a home. We'll chat about that when we come back. And government shutdown resources for many, many folks. We'll talk about that as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube, or you can go to ronsiegelradio.com, check the radio archives. Got about 1,000 shows in there now. You can check this one out. It'll be there by morning as well. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
In the middle of a street, a house.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details, 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender, licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. In the real-time real estate segment today, being brought to you by the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Go and get that household board of directors built. That's what we talk to you about all the time. You need professional guidance. That's why we came out with the budgeting tool. And that's why we put you in touch with the estate planning attorneys and the divorce attorneys and the real estate professionals, credit repair, all these individuals that you need in your life. One more time, though, you do not need 20% down to buy a home. The largest obstacle renters face when planning to buy a home is saving for a down payment. This challenge is amplified by rising rents, which has eaten into the amount of money renters have left over for savings each month after paying expenses. In combination with higher rents, survey after survey has shown that non-homeowners, renters, and those living rent-free with family or friends believe they need to save upwards of 20% for their down payment. According to, quote, Barriers to Accessing Homeownership study commissioned in partnership between the Urban Institute, Down Payment Resource, and Freddie Mac, 39% of non-homeowners and 30% of those who already own a home believe they need more than a 20% down payment. The percentage of those who are aware of low down payment programs, those under 5%, is surprisingly low at 12% of non-homeowners and 13% of homeowners. Amazing. In a recent Convergys Analytics report, they found that 49% of renters believe they need at least 20% down payment. The median down payment on loans approved in 2018, are you ready for this one? Median down payment of homes approved for a loan in 2018, drum roll please, 5%. 5%. Think about that. Those waiting until they have over 20% may already have enough saved to buy now. There are over 45 million millennials, 33%, who are mortgage ready right now, meaning their income, debt, and credit scores would allow them to qualify for a mortgage today. Why do you think we have the Get Mortgage Ready program with over 157 people in process right now? If your 5-year plan includes buying a home, let's get together to determine what it will take to make that plan a reality. You may be closer to your dream than you realize. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, again brought to you by the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. We are going to continue our conversation about that first home. Maybe it's a little bit of a move-up home. We're talking to Lynda Eisenmann, Preferred Home Brokers, today, chatting about, what is the whole issue here? Why aren't you getting in the game? Lynda, do you handle people that are looking for leases?
Yes, we do from time to time.
And do many of them, are they confused about some of the things that we just talked about in the report this morning?
Probably. And when we talk about millennials, I think there is a distinction between what I would consider younger millennials versus older millennials.
Okay.
They're almost into two different categories, because when you think of a millennial, that's typically somebody who's 37 years or younger.
Right.
But those of the younger half of those, I think a little differently than maybe the older ones. And I do think, it's kind of funny when I say an older millennial, but you know which half I mean.
Right.
I think those in that particular category are the ones that are entering home ownership now on a far greater level. Matter of fact, NAR, National Association of Realtors, just put out a recap of their 2018 market trends, market data, and that indicated that of those, that over a third of the home buyers last year, over 1/3 of the home buyers nationwide were actually millennials.
Okay.
And of those, 65% of those were first-time home buyers. I think that's tremendous.
Absolutely.
I think that's exciting news for that particular category. So after I said what I did about millennials, I had to reconsider, because truly there is a difference. And a lot of that just comes with maturity. So
Sure.
It's a lot different being 19 years old versus being 34 years old.
And you're starting, 34, you're starting to see the ideas of what you want to be when you grow up.
You see the value.
Right.
I mean, the value in making prudent decisions.
Which is, we're glad, especially because, unfortunately, my opinion is we're not doing our kids justice in schools with educating them on wealth. Right? I mean, we need to start really, and we don't want to think that the government's going to be there to support us. Mm-hmm. I think the average person on Social Security gets $2,000 a year.
Probably.
A month, I mean.
Maybe even a little bit less. I thought it was
Okay.
a little less than that.
So, but in Orange County, if you don't own your own home, rent is $2,000 a month.
Absolutely. If you're lucky, it's only $2,000 a month.
So we need to start. And the basic point is think about what the numbers would be. And I don't know your financial situation. I know most people that we talk to, you and I probably both talk to, say, if only I had done X when I was 25 years old.
Isn't that the truth?
Right? And if we can convey that to people now, right, that maybe they can be smarter than us.
Even if I would have done a little more X when I was 30 years old, things would be a little different today. But, fortunately, we still live in a great place. And
Absolutely.
Southern California in general, we still have a very strong demand. We hear about people moving out, and yes, there are a lot of people who have left the state of California. There's also a lot of people that have left one area of California for another area of California. So I still think we have a vibrant economy here when you compare it with the global economy, for example.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely, and there are a lot of people that are still coming in. There are people that,
yes, there are.
There's a lot of wealth that we know is moving out, but Pat, let me see what you're saying here. Sharing these excellent and very recent comments from Lawrence Yoon, projecting 200,000 more U.S. home sales this year due to interest rate projections. It's good information, right?
It is good information.
Because the interest rate, you're very good point, Pat. The interest rates are still, and again, I bought my first house in '83, so I think I paid like 18% interest.
Wow.
Right, and today, if you're buying a house, Freddie Mac's numbers 4.55, something along those lines.
Still pretty historic low when you think about it.
Absolutely, and if you can get into that and start buying and saving and keep that property, another thing that we've all heard many times, if I only kept that first property.
You're right.
Right, keep that property, buy another one. Maybe you want to refinance and take some of the equity out and buy a new property for yourself.
Sure.
And then rent. And watch your household grow.
Well, and let your tenant pay off your mortgage on your refi on the house that you left.
Right.
That's really what you're talking about,
Exactly.
is it not? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, let somebody else pay your mortgage.
Exactly.
Right? It's so much better. That's the whole concept. But we really want to get the idea is the credit scores are a myth. I mean, the vast majority of the credit scores that people think that they have to have is a myth. I mean, you can go down to a 580 FICO score. I don't recommend being at the 580. But you can buy a house with a 580 FICO score. You can buy a house with 3.5% down. Veterans, thank you, but you can do it for nothing down. And get into the game at some point. I don't know, and I hear certain areas. I don't know about the areas that you're covering, Lynda. Do you have a lot of lower priced for the market where entry level properties?
Not necessarily in Orange County.
Okay.
But we're adjacent to both San Bernardino and Riverside County.
Right.
Orange County, and actually LA County, just to the west of where we are. I mean, this just isn't, we're not covering just Orange County here.
Right.
But there still are a lot of affordable areas in Southern California. And that's what we're talking about,
Right.
really, Southern California.
Absolutely. And the whole concept is, again, I mean, I hate to sound really old, but if you have to drive an extra hour, but you're making $25,000 in appreciation for the year.
I think there's a lot of areas that are so open to opportunity right now, Ron. When I drive out the 10 freeway or I drive out the 91, I see those tilt-ups that are going up in the IE, the Inland Empire that
Sure.
we used to call it. And I see all of those tilt-ups that are going, and those are jobs. And there are people who can buy affordable homes, and beautiful affordable homes in those areas, and not have to commute back to LA or Orange County.
And obviously those properties, as those more and more jobs there, becomes larger demand for people. When you get the larger demand for people, they want to have houses, which means a larger demand for houses.
Correct.
Which then means the prices go up.
Hand in hand.
Right?
Yes.
So if you get now think about this one, a $300,000 house, which you can get in the IE, and that goes up the same $25,000, right? That's what's 7.5% appreciation on your money.
Absolutely.
Right? Just think about that concept. The idea here, again, get in the game. Be there. We're going to continue our conversation with Lynda Eisenmann when we come back. We're going to also talk about some government shutdown resources. I know the government's not shut down any longer, but there's still some people that are hurting, so we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing real estate, current events, financial markets, all that and more. You can reach me anytime off air, number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Connect with us, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp, and unhappy clients to a private survey, so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com. Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRE NMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by the AskAboutReverseMortgages.com. Are you 62 years of age or older, have some equity in your property? Maybe you want to buy a new house with a mortgage, no payments. The reverse mortgage might be the right solution for you. So we did have the government shutdown. It was a 35-day shutdown. They are talking that maybe we'll have it again at the end of next week. Who knows? I hope not. But there are a lot of issues that people need to understand. And it goes back to the days, Lynda and I were talking about this a little bit off air, about the short sales and foreclosure markets. One of the big problems that people had during those times was a lack of attention, right? So the whole issue became, something, you've got this going on, you've got a short sale, in this case, you've got a government shutdown. Did you happen to make a phone call? Now, as of January 31st, they claim that everybody's got all their back pay has been taken care of. Contract employees, you've got a bigger problem because that does not include the contract employees. So here's the issue is call the credit card companies, call your bank, all these different areas, call your utilities. A lot of them have programs to help you get back in good standing. So make those phone calls. I know banks like Wells Fargo, Citi, Capital One, all advertising relief options for furloughed workers. Credit card companies, major cellular companies, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, advertising payment options for furloughed federal employees. Talk to your landlord, talk to the mortgage companies, especially when you get some of the companies that have had federal government problems. Those are some of the companies, they don't want to get in the bad graces of the federal government. They don't want bad publicity. So make that phone call, and if you need some information on it, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to share whatever we know to help you out in times like this. Hey, that's when a community has to come together, is when it's easy to come together when everything is going great. It's tougher when there are challenges in the marketplace. That's the Your Credit Matters segment, again brought to you by AskAboutReverseMortgages.com. Chatting this morning, Lynda Eisenmann is with us, sharing great information on getting that first home, getting into the game. We were talking about a little bit about the National Association of Realtors, talking about the first timers, and I was sharing my personal issues with our school system not doing as good a job as I think we should be doing on educating our young people just to get into that mortgage world and understand, their finances better.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I was at an open house, Ron, about 3 weeks ago, and a gentleman walked in, and he was a school teacher, and he teaches in the Orange County system, and he brought that same subject up himself. He teaches economics, and he tries to educate the students in his class the value of understanding finance, the value of where they are within their family and where they can be in the future. And I found it very refreshing and very exciting that he was able to do that, because he said it's almost non-existent. They're just not teaching those things today.
And the last I checked, everybody still needed a roof over their head.
Yes,
right?
We do.
And we need, in Southern California, obviously, we need vehicles. Mm-hmm. And they're absorbent amounts of money, right? And that's all ego. I'm just throwing that out there. Any car that you have beyond maybe a Ford Escort is about ego, because a Ford Escort will get you wherever you want to go, right?
Yes, it will.
It's going to get you from point A to point B just as good as a Rolls Royce.
Well, okay.
Right? I mean,
well, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, you take it to the absurd to make the example.
Right. The points are well taken.
Right. But so it's a choice that, hey, do you want a house or do you want a car? Mm-hmm. Or a cell phone, iPad, and computer?
Absolutely.
Right? Those are all choices that we're making, and if we're not teaching young people about the value of the dollar and to get into this real estate market, especially, I mean, Lynda, you've been around long enough, and I know that you've got enough friends in the industry. Mm-hmm. There are some places in the country that don't see the type of appreciation that we see in Southern California.
Very true.
Right? So, I mean, some places they look at it and they say, well, buying a house is a requirement just for living. Here it's living and it's in a financial security.
You're correct.
I mean,
it's a lot of different things. I mean, it's a place to live. It's a lifestyle. It's an environment you're creating for your entire family, and on top of it, it's an investment. So you've got them all.
Right. And I know what Harvard comes out and tells us every year about the investment side of it, and that's usually, according to them, it's like number 5 or number 6 on a people's choice of housing. Do you find that as well?
No,
Really?
Not at all.
Okay, so you're finding that as being higher. They're not looking as far as close proximity to work and education and
well, all of those things are important, but it also depends upon the market. You look at the different markets that we've been in where we've had very rapid appreciation, and that's what people are talking about, how much their home was worth today versus what it was worth 2 years ago or 5 years ago. But I really think home ownership is a bundle of benefits, and appreciation and financial value, financial what's the word I'm looking for? But financial strengths and benefits, long-term benefits, obviously are important, but all of those things are lumped together.
Okay, so it's a basket. Nothing's really a standout or far and away ahead.
Well, it's not just one thing.
Okay.
It's just one thing. If you're talking about home ownership, investment is one thing, but if you're talking about home ownership and the values that one usually has from the benefit of home ownership, that's different than just an appreciation.
So now, being that you've got some experience, just a day or two, mm-hmm. Are there cycles? I mean, can you time the real estate market, or do you recommend somebody trying to time the real estate market?
I don't know anybody who can time it. Truthfully.
Okay. Good.
Truthfully, I don't. We've seen some cycles, bigger, slower, higher cycles, but I don't know that anybody could really time it, Ron.
Do you? And if somebody gets in and looking historic backwards at the wrong time, I mean, we know in the late 90s when the aerospace moved out.
Yes.
And
actually, that also happened in the 70s. I was around even back then.
I wasn't going to throw that in there.
That's okay. We had an issue with the aerospace industry in the early 70s, so it was a tough time in the market in the early 70s in Southern California.
Right. But did that, how long approximately, just give or take, I mean, I don't want exacts.
Oh.
I mean, from when the market makes these corrections, Does it come back?
I tell you, things took off in 1976, and in 1978, I hate to date myself, but this is true, we said in 1978, everything is great. Same thing with 1988, if you really look at the market in Southern California in general.
Okay, so even if you get in at the wrong time, there really isn't a wrong time.
Just hang in there.
Okay.
Just hang in there.
And that's the point that I wanted to get at, Lynda, is because we don't want to try and time the market, but as long as you're in the game, you're going to do well.
I really, like I said, I really don't know who can time it. I still wouldn't be working if I could figure that one out.
Right, exactly. And in a lot of industries, that's the same case,
Very
right?
true.
The stock market, I mean, I have a
Very
friend of
true.
mine that's a very successful financial advisor, and he says, don't try and time the market. If you need something right now, be out of the market. You know, if you need cash, right, be out of the market.
I believe that.
Right, take it whenever, because you can't time it. But real estate, I think, is in my opinion, better than being in the stock market.
Oh gosh, I would say so too.
Right, because
and I've been in both.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah, I've obviously I've been in both as well.
And I am in both still today.
And it, you know, the stock market is a little bit more liquid, but over the long term, I mean, you look at it, how bad things people said real estate was in 2009. Right, 10 years later, we're talking about how great the market is and can we afford to get into it.
You know, it was bad in 2009 unless you're a home buyer.
There you go. Right, so if that was your first time of going into the market.
Doesn't that make sense, really, when you think about it?
So the market, no matter what, so basically what you're saying is, no matter where we are in the cycle, you're at the right time if you're a buyer. Right, so if the market's way down, you're in good shape to buy. If the market's up and you want to buy, get in the game. Right? Because
You're right.
I mean, I had an accountant one time, Lynda, that said to me, he said, Ron, here's the issue with real estate. He said, as long as the worst mistake you possibly make in real estate means hold an extra 5 years. So if you were planning on holding your house for 5 to 7 years, if you had to hold it for 10 to 12 years, you were going to be in good shape.
I see what you mean, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when you really look back at it, it's really been true over almost any time period I can remember. If any time period that you remember that 12 years after you would have bought, that you would have been sorry that you had bought?
No.
Yes, and...
No.
And you go back further than I do.
I wish I would have bought more when I could have bought more, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
That's the reality of it.
Pat, you're right. You can't live in your stock certificates. Although some people do wallpaper their house with their stock certificates.
And sometimes that's all they're good for.
Exactly. There you go.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah, thanks for that information. Great information as always. If you want more information, if you want to chat with Lynda Eisenmann further offline, give me a call at 800-306-1990. Be happy to put you in touch with her. Great real estate agent here in North Orange County and out in the Coachella Valley as well. Be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We will talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.